This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about arrays and we have discussed what exactly an array, what it indicates, and why should we go for arrays in Apex programming especially, and how can we define the arrays in Apex programming and what is the syntax we used to follow to define an array. And once the array has been defined, then how can we manage the elements inside the array? Like how can we store the elements, how to retrieve the elements from the array with the help of index position we have discussed in the previous session. Now today we'll see the practical examples. So how can we use these arrays, how to define, how to manage the elements. Okay, now let's see with the practical use cases. Now let's see. So let me take a small use case. I would like to define an array. I want to manage the elements inside this. Now, so let's go to the Salesforce arc. Let me go to the execute anonymous window. I'm going to the execute anonymous window. So now let's see how can we define the arrays. So I will explain each and every point over here. I will give the comments also for your understanding. Okay. Now I want to define an array which is used to store a collection of product codes. So we are offering so many products to the customers. So each product is having a product code which is of type a numerical value. Product code is a numerical value.
Feroz, we lost your voice. Feroz,
Now, so I'm defining an array now. I'm using the data type integer, product codes equals to new integer of 5. So I'm defining an array with the name product codes which can store 5 elements of type integer. So it can store maximum 5 elements. It may be one element, zero elements, two elements, or three elements, maximum 5 elements, not more than that. Because array size cannot be grow, array size cannot be shrink at runtime. The size will be fixed. So upon defining the array, compulsorily we have to indicate the size. Without the size, we can't define the array. Salesforce won't support. Now, let's see. So now tell me, whenever I'm defining an array by giving the data type as integer, by giving that size as 5, what will happen? Internally, it will be reserving the memory. How much memory will be getting reserved? How much memory? 20 bytes of memory. It will reserve 20 bytes of memory here. There is a 20 bytes of memory will be reserved that will be allocating to product codes array. Whatever the 20 bytes of memory that we have, this whole memory will be dividing into 5 equal partitions. It will divide the whole 20 bytes of memory space to 5 equal partitions, and for each partition it is allocating an index position which starts from 0. There is a 0th index position, first index, second index, third index, fourth index. Now tell me, in these partitions, what value it will store by default? Null. It will store the default value as null. It is storing the default value as null in each and every partition. In all the partitions, it will store the default value as null. Now, then what is the guarantee it is storing default value as null? Now, let me show you with the practical proof. So now what I want to do is, just now I have defined the array, but I did not store any elements inside that. If I'm not passing any elements to my array partitions, by default, it will store the default values as null. Now I would like to print the elements available inside my array. Whenever I'm printing these elements available in the array by using system.debug, it will print all the 5 elements which will be nulls. Okay, now let's see. Print the array elements. I would like to indicate system.debug array elements are, I would like to show that product codes. So now I would like to print whatever the product codes that we have, all the elements I would like to print. I have given the complete array name. So in this array, whatever the elements are available, it will be getting printed onto my debug log file. Click on execute button. Select the debug only checkbox. So now it is indicating that these are the 5 elements are available. First element is null, second element null, third element null, fourth element, and fifth element. Total 5 elements are available, but all the elements are null. Okay, understood the concept here? Next. Now I would like to know the size of this array. How can we collect this array size? What is the size of this array? What is the size? 5. Now I would like to collect that size. Now system.debug array size is, I would like to indicate product codes dot size. There is a ready-made method. Salesforce has given a ready-made method that is called as size method, which is used to indicate the size of the collection, size of this array, how many elements it can hold, how many elements are available, it will collect that size. Now here you can raise a question. Sir, we haven't stored any element, then why it will represent okay 5? Because upon defining the array, automatically memory has been reserved. In that memory, it is storing the default value as null, so that it will be counting that elements automatically here. It may be null, it may be other than null, whatever, it will be counting that elements. Okay, now. So in order to know the size of this collection, in order to know how many elements are available, size means not memory size, elements size. That means elements count. How many elements are available in this array? We can count by using this size method. Now click on execute. Select the debug only. Now it is indicating the array size is 5. Okay. Now So now let's see how can we store the elements inside this. As of now, the collection is holding all the elements are nulls. Now I don't want to store null, I want to store my own values. I want to store some product codes. Then how can we store the elements here? Storing the elements. So we can specify product codes of index position. I'm assigning the value here, like some 3490023. I'm assigning a product code. Product codes of 1. I'm assigning the second product code. Product codes of 2. I'm giving a different product code. Product codes of 3. I'm giving the different product code. Product codes of 4. I'm giving this different product code. So how many elements I have stored now? 5 elements. Can we store one more element in this array? Now, let's try what will happen in this case. I would like to store product codes of 5. I'm assigning the value, a new value I have assigned. So these are the 5 product codes. Okay, now. So now total 6 elements I have stored. I have given the size as 5. Okay, which will be having the index positions from 0 to 4. But I'm storing the element with the index position 5. That means sixth element also is stored. Now I would like to check whether my array size can extend or not. Now, let's try to execute this piece of code. It will show the error message system.list exception list index is out of bounds 5. That means it is indicating that was array size is up to 0 to 4 only, but whatever the index position 5 that you have given, that is out of range, so that cannot be acceptable because arrays are having fixed size. So whatever the size that you have given, the size is already exceeds, so it cannot accept any more elements inside that, so that it will be showing that error message to you. So that's what I told you. Arrays are fixed size collections whose size can't be grow or can't be shrink at one time. That will be fixed. Okay, so that even though when you try to add more than the size of that element, it won't accept. Okay, now I'm removing this element. Now I would like to print the elements. System.debug product codes are I would like to represent. Okay, product codes. So whatever the elements that we have placed, okay, those elements I would like to represent. Now, click on execute, select the debug only checkbox. So whatever the elements that we have stored, those elements are visible over here. This is the first product code, second product code, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Okay, these are the elements which we have placed. Now, suppose for example, you can raise a question. Sir, I don't want to pass the third one here.
Hi Feroz, you're not audible to us.
So now in this case, let me check why it is keep on disconnecting. Now, so now let's see. Now I'm not passing the value for this element, okay, index position 2. So let's see what will happen in this case. Let's click on execute. So for the element 2 index position, it will be storing the default value as null. The remaining 4 elements will be available as it is here. First element, second element, third element, index position 2 is null, and the fourth element also available, fifth element also available. Depends upon your requirement. We can pass the elements for the index positions whatever you want. It's your choice. Okay? Now, now. So whatever the elements are available inside my array, I would like to represent all the elements. As of now, we have assigned the values to this array partitions. Then how can we collect the element values? I want to print those element values onto my debug log file. Okay, now let's see one by one. Print the array elements. So as of now, we have printed the array elements by using system.debug statement by giving the array name. But upon giving this array name, this particular statement will be printing all the elements within a single row by separating a comma. First element, comma, second element, comma, third element, comma, fourth element, comma, fifth element, like that. All the elements are printed within a single row. But I don't want to print this element within a single row. I want to print each element in a separate row. Then how can we print? Now let me show you. Now I would like to show that. I want to print the first element. System.debug product code is, I want to show the first element, like as a product codes of 0. This is the first element which is having the index position 0. Next, I want to print the second element. System.debug product code is, I would like to show product codes of 1. Then system.debug product code is, I would like to indicate product codes of 2. Like the similar passion, I would like to print the remaining elements also. I'm printing these elements. So whatever the 5 elements are available, I'm printing each element in a separate row. So in order to print each element in a separate row, I'm using a separate system.debug statement. To print the first element, okay, separate system.debug for the second element, for the third element, for the fourth element, and the fifth element. For each element, I'm using a separate system.debug statement in order to print the elements onto my debug log file in separate rows. Now, so now let me execute this piece of code. Click on execute. Select the debug only checkbox. Now we can see each and every element in separate rows over here. This is the first element, second, third, fourth, and the fifth element. Clear? Now. So now observe this one. In this case, what we did, we have 5 elements are available inside my array, so that I have written 5 times system.debug statements. Suppose if the array contains 100 elements, then will you write this same system.debug statement 100 times? No, I don't want to write. If I'm writing this a system.debug statement 100 times, it will occupy some more characters which will be impacting on my application performance. So for that reason, I don't want to write this code multiple times. So because it's a duplicate code. Whenever we are observing this code, most of the code is the common. That means from this part to till this part. This entire code is the same, but the only difference is this index positions. Only the index positions are different, rest of everything will be the same. So in this case, what I want to do, instead of writing the same statements again and again and again, I would like to write this statement only once. I want to execute this piece of code repeatedly till 5 times with the help of iterative statements. So instead of writing this same system.debug multiple times, I want to write only once, and the same code I would like to execute repeatedly till the ending of the array. Because my array contains 5 elements, so I would like to execute this statements of 5 times, so it can show all the elements on my debug log file. Now in this case here, observe this one. Whatever the conditions, whatever the code we have written as of now, in this entire code, only this index position is different. Like a 0, 1, 2, 3, and the 4. Only this index position is different, rest of everything will be same. So now I would like to pass this index position dynamically at runtime. Then how can we do that? Now let's see. Print the elements by using for loop. I'm indicating system.debug by using for loop. Now, so now tell me how can we use the for loop now? Tell me, how can we use this for loop now? Okay,
Initialization,
index position
condition,
initialized with 0 or 1. 0.
0,
Why is it?
0,
Because array index is starting from 0.
0,
So that variable with 0. Next,
condition,
index less than or equals to 4 or 5. 4. Why 4? Because index is starting from 0, it will be reaching till 4. Now, next, index position incremented by 1 more every time. Because here the index position is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So every time the value will be incrementing by 1. Now, I would like to print the elements. System.debug product code is, I would like to indicate product codes of index. That's it. So what are the index positions that we have 0 to 4, that we are maintaining those index positions inside my counter variable. We can give any variable name whatever you want here. Now here I have given the variable name as index. Starting from 0, it will be executing the statements till the index value is reaching to 4. Every time index value will be incrementing by 1. So now here in this case, I'm collecting the index position value. I'm passing to my array so that we can print these elements over here. Clear? Understood the concept here? Now let me execute this. Select the debug only statement. Now by using for loop also, we can able to print all the elements. Instead of writing that system.debug
Excuse me, Feroz, your voice gone.
Excuse me, Firoz, your voice is not audible.
Clear up to this one? Next. So now tell me in this case, as of now we have printed the elements available inside my array from index position 0 to till 4. Now my requirement is, I would like to print the elements in reverse format from last to first. How can we print? Okay, now let's see. Print the elements in reverse format. I would like to indicate elements in reverse order. Now tell me, how can we write? Hmm. Integer index equals to 4, okay? Index greater than or equals to 0, okay? Index minus minus. Now tell me here, instead of using this hard-coded value 4, can we do any other things? Index size, okay? Now, I would like to specify product codes dot size. Now, in this case, what is the size of this array here? 5. Then we need to
Right.
start from where? Hmm, We have to start from where here? 4. Then what we can do? Minus 1. So in this case, index equals to product codes dot size minus 1. Because we have to start this value index equals to 4, it should be greater than or equals to 0. Every time it has to be decrementing the value by 1. But whenever I'm using this array size will be returning what? 5. But I would like to start from 4. That's what I'm subtracting the value 1. Okay, because the size is nothing but counting will be starting from 1, index will be starting from 0. This is the difference, because size means counting. Okay, counting, always we're counting the elements or products or anything from starting from 1 onwards. Okay, now so that here it will be giving this the size of the elements are 5, but I would like to start from the index position 4, so that here I'm subtracting the value by 1. That's what I'm using minus 1. Okay. Now, now let me print the values. System.debug product code is, I would like to represent product codes of index. I would like to represent the product code. Now click on execute. Select the debug only checkbox. Now we can see the elements. So whatever the elements that we have, the same elements we have printed in reverse order here. The same elements we have printed in reverse order. Like the first element is available at the last. The second element is available at the second last. There is a third element. This element is available in this place. The last element is available at first place over here. So whatever the elements that we have, these elements we can able to print in reverse order also. Depends upon the requirement. We can print in actual order also or reverse format also based on the need. Okay, clear? Now, now let me show you how to print these elements by using one more for loop, that is enhanced for loop. So during the iterative statements that I already told you, we have 4 iterative statements available in Apex programming. First one, while iterative statement. Second one, do while iterative statement. Third one, for iterative statement. Fourth one, enhanced for loop. But the first 3 iterative statements already were done. So the while, do while, and the for. These 3 already were done. Now I would like to use enhanced for loop. Why? Because if you want to use enhanced for loop, then we need to have an array. We need to have a collection first. A group of elements are required. Then, how to use this enhanced for loop? Now let me explain. Now I would like to use it. System.debug by using enhanced for loop, I would like to print. Then, how this enhanced for loop will look like? Now let me explain. So if it is a normal for loop, what we have to do? We have to define a variable and initialize the variable over here. Then we have to check the conditions. We have to increment or decrementing the value. 3 parts are available. But whenever we are using enhanced for loop doesn't require any initialization. It doesn't require any conditions. It doesn't require any increment or decrement. Everything will be taken care by itself. Just what we have to do, whatever the collection that we have, which you would like to iterate, pass the collection as a data source. We have to pass this a source where exactly the elements are available, in which array the elements are available, in which collection the elements are available. Just we have to pass that collection name or array name to the enhanced for loop. Then automatically enhanced for loop will take the data source. It will start iterating from starting to ending automatically by default. We no need to indicate the starting point here. We no need to indicate the ending point, because here we are indicating starting point, ending point both. But in this case, as part of enhanced for loop, you no need to specify any starting point, ending point, nothing. Forget about all these things. Just we have to pass a collection name. It will iterate automatically. It will collect every element. It will be printing onto your system. So now in this case, how can we use that enhanced for loop? Now let me show you how the syntax will look like. Let me show you with practical. Now here also we are using for. Now in this for, just you can give a colon. In the middle of this for, just you can give a colon. So now in this case, this will be the left side. This is the right side. Okay, this is the left side and the right side. So in the right side, we have to specify data source. Data source means where exactly the elements are available, in which array elements are available, in which collection elements are available. Now we have to supply. So now in this case, now tell me where is the elements available here in my array. What is the array name? Product codes. Okay, this is my array name. Okay, now whenever I'm passing the data source to my enhanced for loop, then it will go to this collection. It will iterate the collection from starting to ending automatically over here. Now it will collect each and every element. So what type of elements that we have in this array? Integer element. Just you can define in the left side, define one integer variable. Integer, I'm indicating some p code, like as product code. Anything, any variable name we can provide. So now directly we can print it. System.debug product code is, we can specify p code. That's it. We are not using any indexes here. Generally, as part of arrays, in order to collect the element, we have to use index. But as part of this enhanced for loop is not relying on indexes. It is not depending on indexes. It will be directly picking up the elements from the array automatically here. It won't use any indexing concept. Directly it will be pointing to that element itself over here, so that directly we can able to pick the elements from that array. So in this case, what it will do, whatever the array name that you have supplied, it will go to that array, collect the elements, it will place into the temporary memory here. Whatever the elements are available, it will collect the elements, it will place into the temporary memory. What are the 5 elements? Then collect the first element, placing inside this variable. Then it will print automatically here. It will collect the second element, place inside the variable, it will print. Collect the third element, placing inside the variable, print it. Like that, all the elements will be printing automatically by default here. Okay, understood the functionality now? So now in this case, as part of enhanced for loop is not relying on any indexes. It will iterate the specified collection from starting to ending automatically by default. We no need to specify any initialization part, no conditional part, no increment or decremental part. Whenever I'm passing the collection, to iterate automatically by default from starting to ending here. So instead of relying on indexes, it will be purely collecting the element values directly from that array. Because of that, it is increasing application performance. So the enhanced for loop is more faster than normal for loop. Okay, clear now? So, but here, upon using this enhanced for loop, there is a small side effect. There is a limitation. So what is the limitation that we have in enhanced for loop? Now let me explain. Suppose if it is a normal for loop will be iterating the collection from starting to ending. And it can iterate the collection from ending to starting also. That means both forward direction, backward direction, both is available in normal for loop. But when you go to the enhanced for loops are purely forward only cursor. It will be having only forward direction. That means it will iterate the collection from starting to ending only, but no reverse concept. No reverse concept. Okay. It can't, collect the elements from last to start first. Because enhanced for loop will be always iterating the collection from starting to ending, not from ending to starting. So no reverse concept. It's purely a forward only cursor here. Generally, 98% of the cases we are iterating starting to ending only here. Only 1 or 2 cases we can go with ending to starting. Very rare cases here. So that as part of Salesforce, whenever we are implementing the business logics in the real time, in 98% of the cases we are using enhanced for loop always. Okay, in order to iterate the collections, always we are using enhanced for loops in 98% of the cases. Only in 2% we are using normal for loop over here. Okay, enhanced for loop is the most important one as part of real-time implementations. Clear? Understood the concept here? Now, let me execute this piece of code. Click on execute, select the debug only. Now we can see the result. So whatever the elements are available, we can see the elements. This is the collection elements are available. Same elements we can able to print by using enhancer for loop also. For your easy identification, I have given these comments also. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, make a note of this code. I will show you one more example on this by using string elements. You no need to write these comments here. Directly we can write this code also. Okay. Comments for your understanding I have given this.
Hi, Firoz. Can we change the length of that array from fixed to variable?
No. We can't change this array length. That length will be always fixed.
So is there any other object or something which we can use?
No. For this one, we have to go with the enhanced facility that is called as collections. Okay, that is the next concepts here. Because when you go to the collections will be automatically increasing the size, it will automatically decrease the size. Okay, that is an enhancement for arrays.
Okay.
Excuse me, Firoz.
Yes.
In that storing the elements, the product code for every line, we need to write product code array and assigning the variable like a zero. Instead of writing all the 5 lines, can we write that product code zero, comma one like that, and giving the
No, no,
variables to
no,
that?
no, 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 no. If you want to assign the elements in one shot, then we have another way. That is the next example. Now let me show you.
Okay.
Okay. Instead
Okay.
of writing this 5 lines of code to
Yeah.
assign each element separately, how to assign all this collection of elements in one shot, I will show you, okay, in this example, next example.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Done up to this part? Done with this? Now, let's see. So now, as of now, we have discussed how to define an array, how to assign the elements, how to retrieve the elements by using multiple mechanisms. Like, how can we get all the elements in one shot by using that array name? How to get the elements by using separate lines, by using a separate system.debug statement, how to use normal for loop, how to use enhanced for loop, all these ways we have discussed. But in order to assign the values, we have written separate lines of code. To assign the values, we have assigned each element separately by using a separate line of code. Here we have the array size 5. So to store those 5 elements, I have written 5 lines of code. Suppose if the array size is some 100, will you write 100 lines of code to assign each element separately? No. In that case, what can I do? How can we assign or how to store a collection of elements inside the array in one shot? Instead of assigning each element separately by using this index position, how to store the elements at a time? Now let me show you. Now, let's see. Now, I would like to define the array and I would like to initialize the array in one shot. That means I want to define, I want to store the elements in one shot inside this array. Then how can we do this? Okay, now let me explain. For example, this time I would like to use some string elements. I want to store some string elements inside my array. Now I'm preparing an array of the data type string. Now I would like to specify country names equals to new string array. But my requirement is I don't want to define separately, I don't want to assign separately. Upon definition itself, I want to store the elements. In this case, don't give any size. Directly, we can specify the elements in curly braces. In curly braces, specify the elements directly here. Don't give the size like as 5, 4, 8. Don't give the size. Directly, we can specify the elements. I'm giving the elements as India, United States, Australia, Germany, Japan, Spain, Russia, Middle East, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, China. These are the elements over here. Now, so now don't define that array size. Don't give the array size. Why? Because upon defining the array, if we are going to storing the elements directly, then what this array will do is it will go to that collection of elements. It will count how many elements are available. It will count that size will be automatically preparing by Salesforce over here. That's what, don't give any size over here. Directly specify the elements. Whatever the elements that we have supplied, it will count the elements based on that elements count. It will define the size automatically by Salesforce. Now, in this case, how many elements we have placed? This is the first element, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. Total 11 elements here. Now let's print the array size now. Let's print the array size. print the collection size. I want to print the collection size. System.debug collection size is, how can we collect that? Country names dot size. Country names that size. So which will be indicating how many number of elements available inside my array. Click on execute. Select the debug only. Now it is indicating collection size is 11. So total 11 elements are available. Now let me print these elements over here. I want to print the elements. I don't want to use a normal for loop. I want to go with enhanced for loop. How can we print that? Now tell me. I'm giving the column. In the right side, what we can specify here? Collection name. That means country names. Next. In the left side, we have to define a variable of type string. Why string?
because this is a string type of array.
Firoz, I think we lost you again.
Now. So now here we are going to be iterating this collection from starting to ending. And then I'm collecting each and every string element over here. This element I'm printing onto my debug log. Clear?
Sorry for the interruption, Feroz. We have missed what you have told in the starting because your voice is breaking continuously. So we are missing
Okay.
a few parts. Can you please repeat
Now,
that uh,
so in this case,
from the
let's see.
print the
Whenever we are going to be
collection size?
defining these elements, so upon defining the elements, we no need to indicate the size. Previously, we have passed the elements for each and every index position separately. Suppose if the number of elements are more, then we no need to write more lines of code. Within one go, within one line of statement, we can able to assign multiple elements also to the array. So that here we are defining the array, and upon definition itself, we are storing the elements inside this. So whatever the elements you are going to store, and then you can specify the elements in curly braces. Because if the elements are normal numerical, then we can pass the elements directly by separating a comma. If the elements are of type string, then we have to store them, okay, by enclosing with single quotes over here. So now my array will be of type string, so each element I'm enclosing with single quotes over here. Now, but here don't give any size, don't give that number, because whatever the elements that we have stored, based on that elements, it will be counting the elements, it will preparing the size automatically by Salesforce. Now, so upon defining the array itself, we can able to initialize. Initializing is nothing but storing the elements inside that. Once the array has been, okay, defined and initialized, then we can able to collect that collection size by using this size method. With the help of this size method, we can check how many number of elements are available inside this collection. And then we can able to collect each and every element by using enhanced for loop, pass the collection name where exactly the elements are available, define one string variable. Whatever the elements are available in this collection, it will collect each element, it will store into the variable. From there, we can print the element directly onto our debug log file. So now it will be iterating this collection from starting to ending. It will collect each and every country name. It will print onto my debug log file automatically here. Clear? Now. So now let me execute this piece of code. Click on execute. Select the debug only checkbox. Now we are able to print all the elements. The collection size is 11, so total number of elements are 11, and these are the elements are available here. Like whatever the country names that were supplied, all the country names it is populating in separate lines because we are using enhanced for loop here. Okay, clear? So this is the way we can use normal for loops and the enhanced for loops also here. Okay, this is how we can able to implement our own custom business logics as part of Apex programming with the help of conditional statements and iterative statements also, and then we are using the help of arrays as well here. Clear up to this one? Now, so these are the various fundamental concepts that we have in Apex programming. Like already we have discussed in our starting classes, as part of Apex programming, it is providing so many fundamental basics like data types, variables, operators, output statements, conditional statements, iterative statements, and arrays. All these are fundamental basics concepts we have discussed. We are done with these fundamental concepts. Now we are entering into object oriented programming. Then what exactly object oriented programming? What do you mean by an object? What do you mean by a class? And then how can we define an object? How to define a class? What is the difference between these two? How these two are related? What a class contains? What an object contains? Everything we'll see in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we'll see, okay, object oriented programming concept. Don't miss the session. Tomorrow we'll be having the session through online, no classroom session tomorrow because of the elections in Telangana state. So we don't have the classroom session. Tomorrow we are having only online session. Okay. And day after tomorrow we are having classroom sessions as usual over here. And then tomorrow's session will be at 7:30. Okay. Instead of 7, we'll be having it 7:30 to 9:30. We'll be having that session tomorrow. I will be sharing the meeting link inside our WhatsApp group so that you can join the meeting as well. Okay. So do the practice on these features over here. And in tomorrow's session, we'll see object-oriented programming, how to use them. Okay?
Firoz, small question here. In the
Thank
previous
you. Yeah, tell me.